Hey guys, welcome back. So I haven't put out a video in a while, and the reason why is because I've had to put a couple stops on some of the projects that I have going. I was actually just throwing out videos just to kind of sample the air, and I found that obviously the most successful video was the one of me talking about why I moved into my warehouse, right? I love it here. It's great. Everything's been working out really well for it, but now I want to take a different view on what it's like being here. So this is I'm about a year and a half in, more like a year. But point being is, it's been a struggle. I mean, being in your first year and a half, 2 years of a business, if you've never done it before or you don't really have things set in play to continuously make you money, is a little difficult. I mean, as it would be, right? But those of you who are optimistic about the opportunity, obviously the struggles and stuff you don't really think about, and I didn't think about it. So, but one thing I knew is if I put myself in a position where I had to perform to survive, um, I knew that I would step up to plate. And so, pretty much, with that being said, truth of the matter is, I was able to put myself in a position where I had to do something to survive. I mean, I was in a work-related accident, or not a work-related, well, yes, it was a work-related accident, but it was for my business, and I didn't have coverage on it, so I had to get insurance to cover this and that and the other. But what happened was I had actually cut through my finger about 70% of the way through. Um, and it messed it up pretty bad, which means that it's still, even after some time of it healing, it still has a lot of problems, and I run the risk of breaking it, going back into the physical aspect of being a freelance lighting technician. I loved that job, and I still wish I could do it, especially because the money was so great. But honestly, I feel like I've moved on, trying to find my own way in life. Working for someone else is easy. I feel like working for someone else is kind of like living at your parents' house. You have someone that's paying the bills, that's feeding you, that's taking care of you. You get benefits, you get consistent income. It's like having an allowance, and all you have to do is just do a couple chores. Just show up, do a good job. But so that's kind of why I started my own business, is because I wanted to go out and travel and do everything on my own. So within my first year, it has been a struggle because I put myself in a situation where I didn't have anything to really fall back on. I had to start over from scratch. So it's kind of like that mindset of, you turn 18, you move out of the house, you get your first apartment, and maybe it's not the best apartment. Maybe you have no furniture, and that's how it started here. So what I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of work to this place. As you can see, I've done the walls. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here that I've done, and I've been working and marketing myself and doing projects. But the biggest thing that I found is that the biggest struggle that I found is, trying to find clients. I mean, anytime you're anytime you're as a maker or doing something that hasn't been really done before or is customized or something, you have to go out and find people that like your work. And that is a struggle in itself. For some people, they're very outgoing. They're very they work really well with people. Me, I'm kind of an introvert, so it's a little bit more difficult for me to really get the balls and say, hey, here's my product, what do you think? I found that it's actually the most successful tool that you could use, is to go out there and to find people, no matter how uncomfortable or difficult it is. What you do is you find out what works, and then you reinforce that. So for me, going out and doing shows, and by shows I mean going to your local swap meets, going to maker fairs, doing whatever you can, getting a booth somewhere, that has been the most successful, but also the most difficult. Now, the thing with running a company is, of course, there is a sense of difficulty in there. And the difficult part of it really is the unknown factor of doing things, the uncomfortable that you're going to feel. And let me tell you, you get really uncomfortable sometimes. I mean, if you don't know how to do something, it's kind of uncomfortable. It's like the first day at your job every day, like you don't know what to do. You're kind of wandering around, you're asking everyone for help. But the difference is when you're doing it for yourself, it's hard to find people. When you're doing it for yourself in something that's new, it's hard to find people that have experience in that field and are willing to help you with it. So, like I said, that's been the most difficult part of this venture. But nonetheless, I have been getting sales and I have been meeting new people and I have been burning myself out on it. But point of the matter is, you have to continue to pursue what it is that you enjoy doing. And even though it sometimes it feels like work, and it doesn't feel fun and it's not what you're enjoying, you just have to take a step back, take a breather, and realize that, is this the path I want to go? Is this the path that's going to make me or break me? If you can answer yes to it's going to make me, then continue to pursue that path and just make it easier as you learn. Or if it's going to break you, or if you feel like there's another way to do it, then maybe take a step back. Cut it down in half, and then venture out and find new ways to market yourself. And really it comes down to marketing. For me, I find I do best in a situation where someone has an idea and I'm able to build on that idea to give them a product, to utilize something that they already want, rather than me trying to stock shelves with stuff that I like. I mean, I still do that, and I still will always do that in hopes that maybe one of my products will be very successful and I'll be able to just continue stocking that. But truth of the matter is, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. So the best advice I can give is to find other ventures. I mean, if you're in a similar situation where maybe you want to make a better living for yourself, maybe you have no option and you don't have any way to make money, is any way to make money other than what it is that you're doing, and you have to perform, look at other ventures, see what other people are doing, and try it out. I mean, it doesn't cost an obscene amount of money to start a small venture. Whether, like a good example might be to just buy and sell things. If you're good at sales, great. If you're not so good at sales, then maybe start learning into some sort of marketing campaign that you could better utilize your skills. One mistake that I made was, when you start a new company, you get calls all the time from people that want you to use their service. For example, I got calls from Yelp, I got calls from Google, I got calls from website companies, and in the beginning I was all gusto about it and like, yeah, let's do this. Like, I just really want to get out there and I want to make a name for myself, and I was really excited about all this, all these people that were offering their services. And I made a couple bad decisions. Like, one was with Yelp, right? I decided to use their service, but it's $350 a month. I thought, oh, by the way, it's New Year's. Happy New Year's. You could probably hear the fireworks. But I thought, okay, so it's going to cost $350 a month, but they talk it up like you're going to get all this and that and the other, and all these people are going to call you. And yes, people call you, of course. But I made a lot of mistakes. For one, I thought they were going to post my pictures. Turns out I need to post my pictures. Also, I thought they were going to dress up the page and they were going to do all discussions. Turned out they didn't. So I learned from that mistake pretty heavily. However, I was getting about 2 calls a day, sometimes a little less than that. Maybe it just depended on the day. I found that weekends, a lot of people were calling. But just as a laser engraver, which is the services that I was offering, I wasn't making enough to pay the $350 a month, which is extraordinarily expensive for something that you could do yourself with their page. I mean, anyone could set up a Yelp account. Anyone could go through and put their own content on there, put their own pictures on there. Now, you may not be the first thing that comes up when someone types in laser engraving, or whatever it is that you do. I mean, whether you're selling flowers, whether you're selling glass, whether you're selling hats. I mean, there is a market for hats. So whatever it is that you're doing, you can go and set it up yourself, and honestly, you'll get a couple extra calls, right? So, and truth of the matter is, for me in a small company, I didn't need to spend $350. So I kind of screwed myself over that. And it's a $600 cancellation fee, which is also very expensive. But point being is, I wouldn't suggest it unless you're already well grooved in, you already have a strong revenue coming in. Point being is, we all make mistakes. And so we have to better ourselves and learn from those mistakes. And, one thing I do have to say is that your mindset, your mind, who you are, the struggles and the things that you go through, your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And what I mean by that is, if you start getting focused on something that you really want to do and something that you really want to accomplish, you could do it, and it seems like nothing else in the world exists other than what it is that you're doing. However, it is a double-edged sword, because if you take some falls and you take some hits, and especially when money comes into the picture, it gets this really nasty face, and you suddenly become distraught about it. You become upset with it. You feel like a failure. So it's something that you have to, your mindset is something that you really have to take control of, especially if you're going to go on with your own venture. You're going to get people that don't like your work, and you're going to get people that absolutely adore your work. So at the end of the day, you have to clear your head and just continue driving towards the purpose that you were going to. But nonetheless, I have quite a few products this time around. After this year, I've learned so much. I mean, it's just been an onslaught of knowledge, of understanding, of trials and error. And truth of the matter is, I've failed a lot. I made a lot of mistakes, but also I've done some good. I've also worked towards the goal that I want, to be able to be self-sufficient, and be able to afford anything that I need or anything that I want. If I want to get a new machine, I can get a new machine. And that's another thing. You have to put your priorities first. And by priorities, I mean what you want and what you need. So, you could want new shoes, but do you need new shoes? That's up to you to decide. For me, the stuff that I want is, I don't want clothes. I don't want new toys. I don't want any of that. I want, the toys that I do want, I want it for my business. So I want new equipment, of course. Maybe I want, maybe new supplies, new materials, stuff like that. So all the money that I make, it goes right back into my craft, is what it is. And that's where I found myself to be happily rooted, is to be spending it for what it is that I'm trying to make. And I don't even think about it as a company or a business or an entrepreneur. I don't even think about it like that. I think about it as, what do I really want to do when I wake up in the morning? I want to grab my coffee and build something. I want to make something. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be spectacular. It just has to fill me with some sense of accomplishment by the time I get it done. And it doesn't always, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'll make something and I'll be, maybe it could have been better. It could have been this, it could have been that. And the truth of the matter is, you might have to make 50 prototypes of one thing in order to even get it up to your standards. And that's the grind, So you have to do it enough times to where, let me put it this way. If you're going to start a new project, you have to be a professional with that product, right? If you've never done it before, or if it's not up to professional standards in your eyes, mind you, it's all about you. It's not about what other people think until you want to start advertising it. So it has to be up to a certain standard in your eyes that you feel, this is it. This is me, this is what I want to represent, and this is the kind of stuff that I like to make. So you get it out there, and then you start getting feedback. You know, some people say, well, it's not professional standards, or some people will say this is beyond belief. You really have to get the feedback of the people that you're marketing it to. So just make sure that you're marketing it to people of like interest. You know, if you're making something that's in a demographic for college students, let's say you want to build some shelving brackets that are that look really good, they're individualized, and you know, maybe the older generation might like it, they might not, or maybe it's all about the newer, younger, newer generation, or maybe you make kids things. So you just have to go along with your demographic, and you have to find out where your market is. So I found if you're starting your own business, the best way you can get out there and do things is to find your local places. Go to your swap meets. Go to your local swap meets, set up a booth, do a couple times, and go out and look for other venues. So, for example, the ones that I was looking at, I was doing the Costa Mesa swap meet, and then also they have one in Huntington Beach. Beaches are good. There's a lot of traffic moving in and out there. I found that that is the most successful way to get your name out there. Not necessarily to get sales, but to get your name out there. So you have to think of it in terms of what works best for you and your company. If you're selling roses or you're selling cakes or you're selling whatever, you have to some way get your name out there. So I encourage everyone to start making yourself professional. You know, get a website, get a Facebook page, get a Twitter page, get any of the major sites. Do it really nice, and do it with a little bit of heart and a little bit of ingenuity and a lot of grind. And you know, you end up putting yourself in a position, and make sure you put your email and your phone number on there so people can contact you. Because once you put yourself in a position and your name's on there, you have no choice but to perform. You know, if someone gives you a call and says, I want to buy one of these, what are you going to say? No? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy right now. No, you're going to say yes. You're going to say yes, and you're going to figure out a way to sell that item. So the best advice I can give is put yourself in a position where you don't have a choice. And that's kind of what it comes down to. I mean, you have to look at it this way, right? If you have a job that you're working at, you may hate the job, or you may like the job, doesn't matter. Let's say you hate the job. The reason why you're still there is because you feel as though you don't have a choice but to stay, right? I don't have a choice. I can't leave because I won't make enough money. You know, I need to feed the kids. I need to do whatever, right? So you have to put yourself in a position where you don't have a choice other than to perform, other than to meet or exceed your expectations. And I say meet or exceed because you never want to falter on your own expectations. But also be realistic about your expectations. I'm sure everyone here listening to this, you've all heard that before, but I'm saying it because it makes a lot more sense to me now, being a first year as a business owner. And, you know, honestly, that's the best advice I can give. I hope someone somewhere gets something out of this, and I wish you guys all the very best coming into the new year. Happy New Year. Have a good one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.